So I done this topic for my other channel, which is ChEDDErTARY931 Channel. It's about almost an hour long video. Thing is, it's taken me a while to upload that video. Now I figured, okay, I might as well do the same topic for this channel right here, for the Jazzy Entertainment channel. And there's a lot to really, go over and everything. And I also want to include jobs, into this as well. So what we all tend to, debate about, to argue about, is whether or not children should be, going back to school this year. And there's also an argument, should they wear masks, in school. Now, I do know a couple months ago that they announced, schools are just going to be closed, canceled for, the remainder of the year. Some schools, and when I mean some, very, very few, very, very little, chose to reopen up. And there's already been new cases of, kids coming home sick and then, being tested, have been diagnosed with COVID. Now, kids, when I was growing up, we tend to, get into, many of things that could hurt us, that could get us sick. A lot of the generation, today, within the past, decade, times have truly, changed to where I'm not seeing how these kids are getting sick because they don't do nothing. They don't go anywhere. It ain't like when I was growing up. I'm like 30 years old, so I'm about to be 31. And, if we got sick, we hung around people who were getting sick. We didn't know about it. If we knew about it, we didn't care. We would go outside and, find somewhere to, go play, to go hang out at, and come back dirty or scraped up and bruised up. And, sometimes, we got injuries that way, and sometimes we have to go to the doctor. I say this because I don't see how these kids, are really tested for this, because a lot of them, really refuse to go out. And it's been this way for the past 10 years because of how technology developed, to where a lot of the kids, don't go outside. They don't, go hang out with their partners. Nobody really spends the night anymore. So they all, hang out and bicker and argue on, social media, and hang out with their friends on like the, the Xbox 360, the PS4, live streams. And that's how they communicate with each other. Do they even talk? Do they even really see each other before school was even really canceled? I don't believe so, no. And if they did, is it that same chemistry? I mean, what can you truly say about your friend if there's no hanging out? I think what people fail to realize, before I get into the school part, because that's going to be a minute, because it's going to take me a while to break it down. But, what people fail to realize is that, before the whole pandemic hit, we were out, in public around all sorts of things, that from construction sites, and how dirty construction sites can be, and the sweat, the germs that drop on the ground that can go into the air. Restaurants, some restaurants never kept they stuff clean. We around people that work in fast food. Some people in fast food don't know how to keep up with hygiene. Going into busy stores like Walmart. So many people go to Walmart that you don't know exactly what you're touching. What's truly going on to your skin. They think, wearing gloves, wearing a mask is going to help you, right? Take a look at the high number of cases of people that's been doing that. I understand, with the new parental law that's been passed, especially here in Tennessee, it's definitely mandatory now to wear a mask when you go in stores, and to all stores, even gas stations. But just take a look at the high number of cases that people been, getting, and this is from wearing masks. So it's either you damned or you do, damned if you don't. And a lot of people's like, okay, well, how is this possible then? We got open pores that we can't see, that matter and sweat goes through. It ain't always, the entry of the mouth, the nose, the eyes. No. It is because of the pores we can't see. Things could still travel into us. I don't know how many of you guys heard of matter. Matter is like little molecules of life that we can't see. Just like there's dark matter that goes through stuff as well. When I believe in that theory, because I think it's true. When we eat, when we touch things with our hands, we taking off our mask at the end of the day. So even if you wash your hands every day, it's not always a guaranteed fact that you're getting rid of whatever you touch. It's not always a guaranteed fact, because how do we truly know that things that we use cleaning chemicals on and, wash our hands with, is truly working, right? So when we eat, when we get home, we think, we're in the safety and the comfort of our own house. And then all of a sudden, you can get sick, right? You can get absolutely sick. There's other ways that, viruses and illnesses can transfer into our bodies, especially for males and females. When we use the bathroom, we touch our junk. And so we have that open pee hole, man. Stuff can go in that thing just like things can come out of it. The same thing with women, with their, their stuff, and with their open hole, things can go in like things can go out. So that's, entry holes with both male and female, and how things can, be attracted like that. It doesn't have to be through, sex. When we go outside, like me, I don't have a mask. I got recyclable ones. I only use them if I need to go in the store, because again, it's mandatory. So I'm out here every day trying to get some work and also going for my exercises, and I'm breathing in the air every day, and I'm okay, you know. Plus, you got to take a look at where those masks are made from too. A lot of all these type of masks are made underneath poor conditions, so you don't know what you're attracting. Again, we now live in this year where, you know, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Me, you know, they take a look at somebody like me and say, okay, you're at the most high risk of attracting, you know, the coronavirus, right? Well, I have not met and not known one person with a bad liver like I do, a bad heart like I do, type 2 diabetes like I do, bad eyesight like I do, lost some of my hearing in my left ear like I do, who's on medication like I am. Not once have I heard somebody with those things. And plus I have bad lungs, so I have damaged, destroyed lungs from out birth, right? Plus I have asthma. Not once with anybody with those medical conditions that I have ever heard somebody catching the coronavirus and not. A good majority of them are out every day. Every day. And yet they feel fine. They look fine if they take care of themselves and that. But the people out here catching it are people with none of these conditions. A lot of us, you know, we go into work, you know, when all this started out, all the jobs were shutting down. But I have to ask myself this question: were all the jobs cleaning the building? Or do these jobs truly care about the employees? Let me use GM for example. GM is shutting down. They're becoming the next Saturn. You know, the same thing that happened to Saturn is happening to GM. I have a feeling next year definitely the doors will be closed for that company of GM. However, GM has so many reports. It's because they're not testing and they're letting in all their employees coming to work sick. And then all of a sudden, guess what? They got to shut down the entire assembly line. But do they clean? Do they clean? Do they clean? No! They barely even clean as it is. I used to work for a plant called the TRC. It was a plant that made hot water heaters. I got put on cleaning once in a while. Let me tell you something, you ain't always cleaning. You cleaning the same spots. You're cleaning with the same cleaning chemicals that, you know, a school janitorian, you know, would use. But how often do you see the school janitorian? You know, plant jobs, you know, with chemical jobs, especially up in Nashville and some plants down here, you know, they gotta wear hazard suits. Them hazard suits with the breathing mask ain't always guaranteed to keep you safe. That's why they gotta use those chemical showers, right? So they're at risk every single day. Every day, even when they go home. Especially when you're around working with, you know, radiation, and you got to do testing for that. Again, it's not always a guaranteed fact with the equipment that they have to wear is going to work, because there's a good chance that something could leak through the breathing holes in the mask and in the suit. It's like, picture like you're wearing a shirt, right? It don't matter what color, it don't matter what kind of shirt, and you spill a stain on your shirt, and that stain can go through your shirt. It's like that. So they can't be reusing them suits, so they gotta throw them out each time they're used, because it's like a stain, and they gotta, again, make sure that they get themselves clean. Again, it's not always a guaranteed fact that what they wear is going to work. Sometimes people may think, they work at the cleanest job like a hospital, right? Well, take a look at these hospitals, man. You got more people dying in there every day. You got a lot of germs, a lot of illnesses coming into a hospital every day. Just like what you do with these cancer hospitals, man, with the elderly. They're very at high chance of spreading the virus around. They're more of a high chance than young people are. Well, now it's time to get on to the subject at hand. How can schools, help not spread the virus for kids not to be sick? Well, back in the early 2000s, in my last year of being in the 8th grade, because I didn't enter into high school till 2007. So that is going to show more of my age. Yeah. And what year I finished. So, back in 2006, really 2005, I was in 8th grade. And I think the job that I took, which was during school hours inside the school, was during the fall season. And my job, along with somebody else's job, was going around to classrooms on a paper, collecting old books, stamping them as retired, and then stamping new books for about 5-6 years down the line when, none of us are going to be here. And I talk about how the school system is a scam and how parents, are getting their money scammed out. Because, your kids, they're not, coming home with new textbook, new sports gear, nothing. They're always getting old shit. So, reason why that is because the school, along with their fundraisers and snack machine money, right, they hoard that money and they go and buy new shit with it that ain't going to be used and sometimes wasted. So, when I was, stamping these books and shipping the new books to the storage garage, as well as getting the new books out of the storage garage, even was doing the same thing throughout high school as well. These schools, they take the money and they waste it. There were new trophies that were bought that were still in packaging with old shipping labels on them. You had new unpackaged, unsealed gateway computer towers along, for those who don't remember, Gateway was one of the first computer companies before Dell came along, a little bit before Comcast. And they were the big old egg white computers, still in boxes, and man, you had new football equipment, new sports equipment still in its packaging. You had a lot of new desks that were still in plastic. So you definitely had a lot of that money being wasted while a lot of us were coming home with the old stuff that was falling apart. You don't know what germs, how many coughs, sneezes, blood stains been on those books, and we have our hands on them. Flipping through the pages, eating, going to lunch with our hands after touching these textbooks. You don't know the type of bugs that crawl through the storage garage, See, people my age, we have kids. Now, our kids are in school, but a lot of us tends to forget, how dirty the schools was when we went. How dirty the schools were when we went ourselves. Because we're acting like this is a new thing that the schools weren't clean. The schools, even before we were born, even thought of, even a sperm in our daddy's sack, schools been dirty. They've been dirty. They never, ever have been clean. Never. And then when we were there, we seen the asbestos, we seen the black mold, the white mold, you know, we seen the bathrooms written on, we seen feces on things, feces on the floor. We seen how dirty the walls look, how yellow they look like people been, smoking for years on end in there, and nothing getting down about it at all. We seen this. We seen this. But yet, even before school, we get on the bus. We seen how dirty, how raggedy these buses were. They weren't kept clean. You seen how the seats look. School's been clean. And let's not act like, oh, people are getting sent home sick. Now, you guys got to remember, some of the people that we all knew got sent home sick. You always heard about somebody getting sick, somebody getting an infection, somebody getting ill, somebody getting disease, somebody getting a fungus, somebody, coming down with something, somebody being out, somebody being hospitalized. All because we were in school that was never kept clean. It doesn't matter if it was elementary school, middle school, or high school. Especially throughout elementary school during recess. You're on the equipment, you're on the playground every day. After school hours, things like that, junkies, tend to go out to and get high and hang around because, it's after hours and no one's going to be really patrolling anyways like that. So you got to take that into a matter too. So you don't really know, what you're touching throughout all that equipment. Now, they think, wearing masks in school is going to help, but no one wants to see their faces. The teachers don't want their students' faces covered up, right? Well, you don't know, for one, if the child is eating something or drinking something they shouldn't be. You don't know if they're paying attention or if they're awake, right? And then if you ask them to read something, they're going to sound muffled over the mask, so you don't know what they're saying. Now, the mask should be the least of their concerns. What should be more focused on is a lot of the main issues that I was seeing, that we all were seeing, things that were always talked about for years and still talked about, and still, nothing done about it. For one, outside zoning, which is overpopulation. Overpopulation and outside zoning has always been around, and that's what caused, overcrowding of schools and on buses. The classrooms, they're built tall, but they ain't built long or wide to hold enough students. They're only built to hold an X amount of students in one class, right? Not all classrooms are going to be built the same size either, so the numbers are definitely jumbled. Outside zoning has always been a problem. The reason for that is because, if you're a parent with a good paying job, you're not going to want to really take the money out to send your kid to a decent school. So you're going to want to send them to like a raggedy ghetto school to save more money, right? Okay, now let's say if you're a parent that doesn't have a good job, but you want to make sure your kid goes to the best school, so you're willing to make the sacrifice to chill out money to make sure your kid goes to a good school. And a lot of it, is outside zoning. I used to be in outside zoning for a little while in my life. I was going to schools here in Columbia when I was more closer to schools, into Spring Hill. Originally I was supposed to go to Spring Hill, elementary. I figured if I were still at the same spot, I feel like I would have had a better education and actually made something of myself, because Spring Hill and Spring Hill schools, they care about, their students, and sometimes they give too much of a fuck. But, I was originally supposed to go to Spring Hill Elementary, Spring Hill Middle, and Spring Hill High, believe it or not. And I would have been going to the old Spring Hill High School. that's been turned into like a little flea market area. But you have overcrowding. Then you got buses. Buses can't fit 3 to a seat all the time, and you have a lot of kids that want to be on the bus with their friend on their bus, and they partners, right? Plus you got new students just about every now and then, so the bus gets overcrowded, right? You don't know, again, going back to what things people have been around that you're touching them, you're dabbing up, you're shaking up, dapping, and fist bumping, and hugging, kissing, if that's your thing. You don't know what these people have. So one of the issues is overpopulation. That's something that can be easily solved, right? Just say, look, okay, you live in this area, you got to go to this school more close. This one's out your district. Why are you going outside of zone area? But overpopulation with overcrowded areas, like that are always going to be a thing. That's something that, may never get done about, at all. So the next thing is cleanliness. If they're worried about schools right now being clean, shut down the schools, right? The school has the money. The school system has funding. They got money to chill out, actual cleaning chemicals, cleaning supplies, right? They can have the janitorians, they can have the teachers come help, to really clean the inside of the school. They have money to pay them for this, and a lot, remind you something, the school system is not underfunded. It's the teachers that are underfunded, not the school. So, they can pay them to clean the inside of school, get the outside of school, like really clean it, and if overpopulation is still a thing, okay, what you can do, because Central did this thing with Central is they were supposed to remodel that school many decades ago. There was a woman, and I was friends with her son, and she raised so much money to get that school redone that the school system in Central didn't even let it happen. What they did, they took her money and just ran with it. Yeah, they ran off with her money and talking about, man, we got all this asbestos stuff turned down in school. Man, that school been falling apart before I was there, and even when I was there, it was nothing new. It been falling apart. But then that school still ain't done. They still want to add more to it, still want to build more to it. There's still construction going on. But like I was saying, with that, it's mainly tall, but how many students is it going to hold? You're going to have to expand to that because of overpopulation, like with many schools. So you're going to have to expand to that. You're going to have to add almost a university or Maury County Hospital type construction because of overpopulation. You're going to have to make the classroom, more bigger. Well, one picture that I seen on Facebook, and it was a couple months ago, and I wish I would have saved these pictures if I knew I was going to be doing these topics, but there was a school that has divider tape with the lines on it, divider line tape that you would see in jail and prisons, certain colors, what they mean, certain things. You had certain ones in the hallway, certain ones around the desk, keeping 6 feet apart. And they knew they had to make a sacrifice, like, look, we can only fit this many students. Let's kind of cut down on that number, make some room, boom. Now, a lot of the people that are going to be targeted during school, that are going to be blamed for getting other students sick, are students that who come from poor families, who have poor hygiene, who don't wear the best of clothes, people who get picked on, bullied on because of that. I seen that growing up a lot, and they get blamed for so many damn things just because of the way they look, because they come from a poor background. A lot of these other motherfuckers who saying this shit, they ain't got no room to speak. Like, dude, you just talked about and complained a couple weeks ago, man, you getting food stamps in and you living off you know, people living off of, you know, government welfare. Yeah, you may got some nice clothes, but then how much of that shit did you buy yourself, and how a lot of it was given to you? So you ain't got room to talk. And again, us as black people, when it comes to that, and it's usually black ignorance down here in the South that makes that type of shit very hypocritical. But it's the truth. Now, some other people are going to get blamed, or special ed students, people with learning disabilities, special needs, you know. Sometimes, you know, they got rid of them classes to cut funding, but they kept the classes to kept them in for like one day. Not just one day, but, you know, one class to keep them in throughout the entire day. And according to the CDC, they have people who are special needs with learning disabilities labeled as a disease. Labeled as it's a disease, like it can get spreaded. And, you know, I seen ignorant fucking shit being said about that when I was coming up, because I was in special ed classes, you know, my entire life. And some people's like, man, you know, I don't feel good, or I'm having a hard time trying to concentrate. I feel like, you know, I may be coming down with like some type of thing to where I can't learn anymore because of having these students in these classes like that. You know, I've seen stuff like that. Sadly, you know, I was a victim of verbal abuse like that. That's what caused me to become a juvenile delinquent sometimes, and getting, you know, suspended for a couple of days because of fighting. But when motherfuckers see me, I wasn't gonna back down and throw hands. They start fucking with me, man. They're like, oh shit, you gotta start fucking with him. And, you know, some people that I came up with, you know, they did defend me as well. You know, they didn't want to see me in trouble. But, you know, them are the main two people that are definitely going to get targeted and blamed for kids coming home getting sick. It's not them. It's the school system for not funding, for not paying enough, for not hiring more people to clean these schools and to expand to it. So it's definitely overcrowding, which is the problem, man. Which causes the schools to get, you know, messy and look like shitty the way they do, because, well, guess what? Shit is attracted to garbage, right? You're gonna get some ignorant kids. They're gonna want to mess up something for everyone else. You know, plus you got the sports teams, you know, the sport teams, you know, from basketball, track, football, baseball, the swimming team, you know, when they go on them charter buses, you know, they gone for a couple of days. They come back. We don't know what they're around, what they're getting into, what they taking back with them. And things like that can be spreaded as well. Now, I don't know if there's a way to monitor that or to really fix that issue, but, you know, over time, you know, these are things we got to think about, things we got to discuss, because a lot of people right now, you know, are very concerned. And the question is, you know, like right now, they letting parents have the choice without any repercussions if you want to send your kid back to school or not. Some parents are switching to homeschool. A lot of parents right now are switching to homeschool. Now, next year, once they figure this out with the cleaning thing, right? And I'll get to the choice, right? But what they can do until then, because you know how there's online courses for like people taking the GEDs or college classes online. They can go back and do education programs that teachers can look at, and they ain't gotta be nowhere near you. You know, they had that when I was coming up with taking certain exams or certain tests and certain reading tests, you know, back in the day. It was like a yellow background with like, you know, all the letters in black and your multiple choices, you know. So we had that back then, you know. Well, they can do that for students who are in elementary school, right? So you take what level of grade they in, you give them that level of work. If they are special needs students, you know, there needs to be a program and a section for that built, right? So they can still gain some education. Now, the elementary students will have to have help from parents with this. And, you know, we're in school for 8 hours a day. So in order to cut them 8 hours in half, right, make it 7 hours a day. Make it 7 hours for the elementary online course, for the full, however long it's going to take to get everything organized in that situation. Okay, then you want to do another program course for those within the middle school aspect for online. Middle school, you have about, I don't know, I guess your usual classes, even though it only goes up to 3 grades. So you want to make them classes for middle schoolers, for each grade. And again, the level of work that they need to do for that grade. And again, you want something for special ed students as well. And you want to make that for 6 hours. You want to make that for 6 hours for the middle school students, right? So for the high school program, right, for online, it only goes up to 4 grades. You don't have very many classes during high school. The rest of the hours are all bullshit hours, just like you have the rest of the hours from middle school hours that are all bullshit. Same thing with elementary. So you want to make the high school hours online courses 5 hours. That's it. 5 hours. That's it. So by the time the 1 o'clock, 12:30, 2 o'clock hour rolls around, the kids will be done and they can have the rest of the day to themselves, man, to do whatever they want to do. So it's not that difficult for that to do. Plus they can you can monitor, right, what pages the kids are going to be reading, who's reading what. Have them do some multiple choice answers. And if you want them to do some research and write down chapters that they have read and do some sort of paperwork, they can do that. And that paperwork can be sent to the teachers, to their PO box or to their house, and the teachers can grade some physical work that way and then send it back to their students to see what they got, even along with the homework. The only things you can cut out is projects, because the only way I see that happening, and if you guys pick a place to meet up, a place that's going to let you rent out a venue spot for the science projects or any type of projects to get graded and judged until things get solved out and figured out within these schools. And that is definitely an option that can be took. It's going to be weird, but I think a lot of people may feel more better, really working from home in the comfort of their own place, of their own environment, of their own safety, and really get some work done. It might be boring, but it can definitely work. I know they definitely have stuff set up where the teachers can definitely communicate with the students right now through online, through visual feed. So it is something that is definitely possible to do, and that is something that the schools and all the states need to really consider doing. Is why parents are worried right now about sending their kids to school. It's something that can definitely help until, again, expansions come along to where you expanding on the schools to make more room, cleaning the schools. And I figure that, if they do that, they need to take 2 hours. Not 2 hours. They need to take the bullshit hours that are wasted in school, take 2 hours or 2 hours and a half or an hour out of them bullshit hours in school to have the students clean and wipe down their area in the classroom before they get dismissed. From the desk to the floors to the things that they have used. It's not going to take that long to do because you have a lot of hands cleaning in one classroom, cleaning everything. So it's not going to take that long to do. Now, what about the special ed students? The classes ain't that big. Some can help. All of them can help in their own way to help clean. Plus, them classrooms got like 3 teachers in it. So it ain't going to take that long either. If people are worried about the access to germs when it comes to PE, once things start back up, I think that there needs to be more hands on deck when it comes to that if you're worried about cleanliness. So, once after the students get done sweating, have them take a shower for a bit, and then help clean the floors, the bleachers, and the things that they have used in terms of like basketball and stuff like that, like help clean it. So you got like 3 coaches sometimes, you got all them students. It's not going to take that long. Again, you got more hands on deck, so you can definitely clean, like that. You can definitely clean in terms of that way. Now, when it comes to buses, you're going to want to put in new seats to make sure to keep them buses clean. Whenever they go into the bus station every day, and fit 2 students to a seat, man. And people gonna have to realize, look, if you don't ride on this bus, don't come. That's all there is to it, man. And I think there needs to be some type of repercussion or penalty behind that in order to help prevent, not spread kids from getting sick. And they need to have a lesson like, look, man, if somebody's underneath poor conditions of bad hygiene, sadly, human services and things for child endangerment, sadly, them people really don't care about stuff like that. Nothing ever gets done. I've been in circumstances like that, and they don't care. To sum it up in short terms rather than going into full details, what they do, they're going to look to the family background history. If they somebody that comes from poor conditions with a very poor funding, and also your skin color, so race does play a part in it, they're going to look the other way and say, man, there ain't nothing here. And they do that. They do that to so many kids. And because of that, that's why so many kids, end up, getting killed or doing life behind bars, man. Or out there getting murdered on the streets because of the help that was turned down, and why so many, go to selling narcotics and robbing people. The only type of people that get the help are people that don't need it, people that come from good families, people that have well-funded backgrounds. So, there's definitely, that to take into consideration when it comes to that. I think they need to have a course of teaching on, with the special needs students, man. Like, look, don't think because they like this that it's a disease. It's not something that can be spreaded. That's a birth effect. That's a birth effect. And I spoke about that, a video I uploaded on my other channel talking about, a program I would like to start. I think I uploaded it on here, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna have to try to link that video in the description below, or like an end screen video, so you guys can check that out. But let's not act like jobs right now, schools all of a sudden just got dirty because of COVID hit. It don't work that way. Schools and jobs, man, with everyone that comes through those doors, adult or children, you don't know what that person's gonna have. None of us know. So, especially when you have a work area that has a lot of traffic, and a lot of things that people get, or a lot of people right now who are getting diagnosed with this, had they even showed the symptoms, there's a good chance that they went to the doctor. Oh, well, you just got tested positive for COVID. Motherfucker, if I'm not showing these symptoms, how the fuck am I tested positive for COVID? People tell me, you need to get tested. Look, man, I know I don't have them symptoms, man. And if some bullshit results come back that say otherwise, and I say it's bullshit, because if I'm not showing none of the symptoms, I'm not finna be fucking quarantined for 14 days, having the goddamn people with those lab suits and shit fucking looking at me and monitoring me and shit, because the only way that's ever gonna happen, I'm going out fighting. You're not finna sit me down over some fake bullshit just because I have something going on, then you want to think of something else, and all of a sudden you want to label it that. Sadly, that's what the medical field's doing now. The medical field within that, I think, are becoming very irresponsible and not doing their job to the fullest or even seriously. That's why anything that comes through, they want to label it as COVID, and that's why so many of these rates are going up, because I believe a lot of the rates right now are false allegations and false rates of people being diagnosed with something that they don't even have because they're not showing the symptoms. If that's the case, right, which it very well is, and I strongly believe that, the death total in this state is 6. How was that rate so damn high, but the death total so damn low? Again, the medical field right now, I feel like, are being very irresponsible with their job. A good friend of mine's, my little girlfriend, right, just posted on she got tested positive for COVID. I seen her a couple of times before all this. She did not show none of the symptoms. If anything, she's more in shape and more in better health than I am, for God's sakes. I feel like with her situation right now, I feel like it's a false allegation from the doctors, from the medical field, because that's what they just wanted to slap on her. And I feel like that's very fucked up if that's the case, because she would have said something before that if she wasn't feeling good and showing symptoms, man. 14 days in quarantine. Again, I feel like a lot of that's why, I feel like, man, I just want to do my appointments over the phone every 4 to 5 months, because if I go over there physically and all of a sudden they want to do tests like, oh, you tested positive for COVID, I feel like that's going to be one of them bullshit high number results with me not even showing the symptoms. Again, I do feel like the medical fields, when they come to this, are being very irresponsible, especially for right now with students in school, for people trying to go back to school. I understand kids, I don't know if kids really get into things these days. Again, from what I said earlier, I feel like they don't. They're too clean, as a word, less getting physically hurt, such as kids, get into stuff and do. But if you taking a kid to get tested, that stuff is going to be a bit scary for them. So when they get it and you want to have some results come back, if that kid's not showing symptoms, because a kid's going to know, just like an adult's going to know or not, what's wrong with their body and, symptoms that they're going to show, even if you can't put it into words. So I feel like you want to give kids bullshit results, because the medical field, again, as far as I'm concerned, is not being, responsible with their job. Now, could they got it from one of the parents that may have it and not know about it right now and probably showing a little bit of symptoms? Yes, I got to keep that into consideration. I got to keep that into consideration as well. But there's always high possibility chance. But, I do feel like some of these numbers right now that we're seeing are definitely on some bullshit results, just because you don't really want to do the time to research something or to get these people looked at and just say, slap them with COVID. I know that's a real thing, but that's what I truly feel. And with this being said, I feel like what I said, what's going on with schools, I feel like, the solution, they can clean, expand, do something about the overpopulation. Until then, have online courses for kids who are in elementary, middle school, and high school. And that's why they can still, get an education, get a degree, their diplomas, their masters, and just still remain safe while they're being at home. And plus, the hours ain't gotta be long hours, man. They ain't gonna be long hours, They could be with hours, I said, for each thing. The rest of the day can be theirs. So, that being said, I'm out.